It was 2 a.m. when Sarah realized something wasn't right. She'd followed every budgeting tip, used the 50-30-20 rule down to the decimal, tracked every expense, and yet her bank account read just $23. Payday was 4 days away. She sat there wondering, how can I be doing everything right and still feel so broke? What Sarah didn't know is that she wasn't alone, and she wasn't doing anything wrong. The problem wasn't her math, it was the system. A budgeting system millions swear by that might have been designed for a world that no longer exists. To understand how we got here, we have to rewind to one best-selling book, one Harvard professor, and one budget rule that quietly changed everything. Before she was a U.S. Senator, Elizabeth Warren was knee-deep in bankruptcy court records. As a Harvard law professor, she spent years studying why middle-class families kept collapsing financially, even when they followed the rules. So she did something bold. She and her daughter wrote a book called All Your Worth. Inside, they introduced a new way to manage money. A formula so simple it felt like a cheat code. 50% for needs, 30% for wants, 20% for savings and debt. No spreadsheets, no financial jargon. Just 3 buckets. And it resonated. People loved it. It felt doable, fair, balanced. Like you could actually enjoy your life and still be responsible. But buried beneath the surface was a quiet flaw because this elegant rule was never built for people thriving. It was reverse engineered from those already underwater, and that means one thing. It might not work for people trying to get ahead, which brings us to the part most people miss entirely. Let's look at Michael. He's a public school teacher in Phoenix making $45,000 a year. After taxes, he clears about $34,000. According to the 50-30-20 rule, $17,000 should go to needs, $10,000 to wants, $6,800 to savings or debt. Easy, right? Now let's see how this holds up in real life. Michael pays $1,200 a month in rent for a modest apartment, $14,400 a year. Add car payments, insurance, and gas, another $6,500. Groceries, $4,000. Health insurance and meds, around $3,000. Total necessities, $27,900. That's 82% of his take-home pay. And he hasn't even bought clothes, paid for internet, or grabbed a haircut. This isn't an edge case, it's the norm. And the deeper you dig into the numbers, the more you realize. The rule's biggest weakness is that it assumes your life fits inside these percentages. But what happens when it doesn't? Well, that's when people start playing mental games with their money. Here's where the real danger kicks in. When your needs take up more than 50%, your budget doesn't suddenly break, it just starts lying to you. People begin moving things around. That DoorDash order? I needed it because I was too tired to cook. That new jacket? It's for work, so it's a need. Wants become needs. Savings disappear. But the spreadsheet still looks good, so you tell yourself you're on track. This is called moral licensing, when doing something that feels good gives you permission to behave badly. Following a budget rule feels virtuous, so even if the numbers don't add up, you keep believing the illusion. But real financial control doesn't come from following a rule. It comes from understanding your money's behavior. And the 50-30-20 rule never asks you to do that. But there's another more powerful truth hiding in plain sight. Let's be clear, there's a reason this rule exploded in popularity. It works beautifully, under the right conditions. The simplicity is a gift. No one wants to spend their Sunday night sorting receipts into 12 categories. And for many people, the 20% bucket, savings and debt, can be life-changing. Investing just $300 a month in a simple index fund, averaging 10% a year, can grow into over $200,000 in 2 decades. That's real power. But the rule assumes your income is fixed, that you're stuck working with whatever shows up in your account, that your only control is how you split it up. That's budgeting for survival, not for growth. Real wealth building isn't about dividing one paycheck more efficiently. It's about expanding the paycheck in the first place. Which brings us to the one mindset shift that changes everything. One reason the 50-30-20 rule slips through our fingers is psychological. We don't actually know what's a need and what's just something we've gotten used to. That $15 lunch at work? It's a need because I don't have time to cook. That $180 cable package? I need to unwind after a stressful day. That impulse buy on Amazon? I needed a pick-me-up. See what's happening? We rationalize. This is called lifestyle justification. It's subtle, powerful, and almost impossible to fight unless you're aware of it. And here's the kicker. When we label our wants as needs, we believe we're being frugal, even as we burn through cash. It's budgeting self-sabotage, and the 50-30-20 rule with its simple 3-bucket system makes it easy to do because there's no built-in check for why you spend, only how much. And if you think that's the only hidden trap inside modern money systems, wait until you factor in how unpredictable incomes have become. Meet Jennifer. She makes $45,000 like Michael, but instead of squeezing that paycheck into percentages, she builds new income streams. She drives Uber on weekends, sells art on Etsy, rents out her parking space. Altogether, she pulls in an extra $13,000 a year. She doesn't use that extra money for wants. She saves all of it. So while the rule told her to save 20% of her base income, about $6,800, she's saving double that with less stress. Jennifer isn't following a budget, she's building one. This is what the 50-30-20 rule never teaches. It manages scarcity. Jennifer creates abundance, but even abundance has its own trap, and it's one most people never see coming. Let's say you master the rule, you make it work. You even save 20% like clockwork. Then comes a raise. Suddenly, your $60,000 salary becomes $80,000, and the rule says, great! You now get to spend $10,000 more on needs, $6,000 more on wants, and save another $4,000. Your needs mysteriously grow. You move into a bigger apartment, upgrade your car, start ordering nicer dinners. You're technically still following the rule, but you're not actually saving more. You're just lifestyle inflating. And the more you earn, the more you spend. Because the rule scales with income instead of goals. It's a silent trap that keeps people treading water, even with growing paychecks. So, what's the way out? We have to flip the script and start budgeting forward instead of backward. The 50-30-20 rule assumes something very outdated, that your income is predictable. But what if you're a freelancer, or you drive for Instacart, or your paycheck changes with commission or tips? More and more people today have variable incomes, and when your earnings swing by hundreds or thousands of dollars month to month, a fixed percentage budget isn't just hard, it's useless. Imagine trying to stick to 50-30-20 when one month you make $4,000, and the next month you make $1,800. Your rent doesn't care that your income dipped. Your car loan isn't going to adjust itself. This is why a new approach is rising in popularity: percentage buffers and zero-based budgeting. Instead of basing your budget off every month's paycheck, you budget based on a rolling average, or only after income arrives. You create tiers: minimum survival budget, comfortable budget, and ideal budget. This turns chaos into control, but more importantly, it keeps you from blindly following rules that weren't built for your reality. So, if the classic rule is outdated, and even modern fixes have gaps, is there a way to actually fix the 50-30-20 model for your own life? Most budgeting starts with, here's my income, now how do I divide it? Wealthy people don't do that. They start with a goal. I want to retire with $2 million, and then reverse engineer how to get there. They calculate what needs to be saved each month, then find or create the income to match it. They don't lower the goal, they raise the income or cut unnecessary costs. That's budgeting forward. It's the difference between rationing food on a sinking boat or building a bigger boat. But to understand why the 50-30-20 rule is truly cracking, we have to look at the world it was born in and how much that world has changed. When Warren created this rule, the world looked very different. Housing was affordable. Healthcare was manageable. A college degree didn't come with a mortgage-sized debt, and stable jobs were the norm. Fast forward to 2025. The average home costs over 5 times the median income. College grads carry $30,000 plus in debt. Health insurance deductibles can wipe out your savings. And the gig economy has replaced salary stability. The 50-30-20 rule was a map for a city that's been bulldozed. Trying to navigate 2025's economy with a 2005 roadmap? It's no wonder people feel lost. So if the old rule is broken, what should take its place? Here's the good news. You don't have to throw away the 50-30-20 rule. You just have to bend it until it fits your life. If you live in an expensive city where needs eat up 70% of your income, you can try the 70-20-10 rule temporarily and focus on increasing income or cutting fixed expenses. If you're in a high-earning season of life and want to build wealth fast, try a 40-20-40 model, slashing wants and doubling your investing. One strategy gaining popularity is front-loading savings. Instead of saving 20% evenly every month, save a huge chunk when you get windfalls, like tax returns, bonuses, or freelance payouts. This removes pressure from tight months and keeps you consistent over time. The point is, the power of the rule isn't in its math. It's in the awareness it creates that once you see where your money goes, you can choose where you want it to go next. And that's what separates broke budgets from wealthy lives. Conscious, flexible decision-making. If you're just trying to stay afloat, forget percentages. Focus on reducing fixed costs, building a cash buffer, and increasing income flexibility. If you want to build wealth, create a strategy, not just a budget. Some people now follow the 25-25-50 rule. 25% needs, 25% everything else, 50% for wealth building. Sounds extreme, until you realize they're hacking the system, living with roommates, working remotely from low-cost towns, building digital side hustles. They're not budgeting harder. They're designing their lives around their goals. Because in 2025, success doesn't come from perfectly dividing a paycheck. It comes from controlling the game board itself. The 50-30-20 rule isn't a scam. It's not wrong. It's just outdated. It was built for a version of America that doesn't exist anymore. And the real danger is that so many people are blaming themselves for not making it work when it's the rule that's broken. Your money doesn't need rules, it needs a plan that actually fits your life. So stop trying to fit your messy, evolving, unpredictable life into perfect little boxes. Start with your goal. Build from there. Use rules if they help, but break them when they don't. Because financial freedom doesn't come from following a formula. It comes from writing your own.